Bonjour, une famille. Je suis Kahamel Kincaid, and this is EIZE TV. And allow me to introduce you to this new series called UMPH, which stands for Unreleased Music Potential Hits, where we will talk about popular artists who had unreleased music that could have been potential hits, but for some reason just wasn't released, whether it being due to their record labels, the shift of the music industry, or by just bad timing. In this premiere episode, we will start with the artist Ashanti. Ashanti was signed and began her musical career with Murder Inc. by Irv and Chris Gotti in 2001, where she, Ja Rule, Lloyd, Chris 01 Black, Cadillac Ta, Charlie Baltimore, Vita, and others formed the label of artists who rose to prominence in the late 90s through the early 2000s. Through the many ups and downs of the label, namely with money indictment issues, rivalries with the upcoming hip-hop label G-Unit headed by Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, due to the drastic shifts of the music industry during the mid-2000s, a lot of Ashanti's music was either put on the shelf or just unreleased. By 2007-2008, she took a chance and was one of the first artists of her generation to go independent and formed her own musical imprint called Written Entertainment, in which she began working on her fifth album, The Declaration, which was released in 2008. She worked with a number of producers such as Mario Winans, Chanel 7, Theron Nephew Feimster, and others to craft the sound of her new album. And one of the songs which she began to work on was Hey Baby After the Club, which featured Mario Winans. The song sampled the late great Prince's 1984 song Erotic City. And during this time, music mogul Sean Diddy Combs also used this sample for his song Last Night, featuring the princess of hip-hop soul, Keisha Cole. It is not known who applied for the use of the sample first, because in the music industry, producers and artists are all in contact with each other. And where one artist or producer applies for the use of a sample, you may then have another one of the two who hears it during a recording demo session and then take that sample which was originally intended for by another artist first. But because of the politics of the industry behind the scenes, certain artists or producers and the team behind them can move more quickly to attain the rights to samples and then release them much faster than others. But Ashanti's song did get some airplay and was to be considered the first official single off her new album at the time. The Declaration was heavily criticized due to it sounding identical to Sean P. Diddy Combs' song Last Night, which was released earlier in the year in 2007. During this time, Ashanti went independent, and she was one of the first artists of her generation who was setting the trend of using the throwback sound of the mid to late 80s funk R&B, which was imprinted on all of her tracks at the time. And I think that if she had remained under a major label, then she would have had more success in putting her original ideas out there in her music that she was going for. However, as aforementioned, the music industry was in a major transition during this time. Subsidiaries were being dissolved and bought by parent labels, which left a slew of artists either in limbo, on the shelf, or just dropped altogether after maybe just one or two major album releases. Had she released this particular track earlier or in today's musical climate, I think she might have had more success. But what are your thoughts? Sound off in the comments and give us your feedback. We hope you've enjoyed this new premiere episode of UMPH, and we will continue to educate and inform on the history of great songs and music that were unreleased which could have been potential hits. And remember, don't wait for your opportunity. Seize it. Peace.